recently said, surprisingly recently, that GPT-4 was the dumbest model any of us will ever have to use again. But GPT-4 can already perform better than 90% of humans at the SAT and the LSAT and the GRE, and it can pass coding exams and sommelier exams and medical
Yeah.
licensing. And now you just launched GPT-5. What can GPT-5 do that GPT-4 can't?
First of all, one important takeaway is you can have an AI system that can do all those amazing things you just said. And it clearly does not replicate a lot of what humans are good at doing, which I think says something about the value of SAT tests or whatever else. But I think had you gone back to, if we were having this conversation the day of GPT-4 launch and we told you how GPT-4 did at those things, you were like, oh man, this is going to have huge impacts and some negative impacts on what it means for a bunch of jobs or, what people are going to do. And, this is a bunch of positive impacts that you might have predicted that haven't yet come true. And so there's something about the way that these models are good that does not capture a lot of other things that we need people to do or care about people doing. And I suspect that same thing is going to happen again with GPT-5. People are going to be blown away by what it does. It's really good at a lot of things. And then they will find that they want it to do even more. People will use it for all sorts of incredible things. It will transform a lot of knowledge work, a lot of the way we learn, a lot of the way we create. But we, people, society will co-evolve with it to expect more with better tools. So yeah, I think this model is quite remarkable in many ways, quite limited in others. But the fact that for 3-minute, 5-minute, 1-hour tasks that like an expert in a field could maybe do or maybe struggle with, that the fact that you have in your pocket one piece of software that can do all of these things is really amazing. I think this is like unprecedented at any point in human history that a technology has improved this much this fast, and the fact that we have this tool now, we're like living through it and we're kind of adjusting step by step. But if we could go back in time 5 or 10 years and say this thing was coming, we would be like, probably not.
Let's assume that people haven't seen the headlines. What are the top line specific things that you're excited about? And also the things that you seem to be caveating, the things that
Yeah.
maybe you won't expect it to do.
The thing that I am most excited about is this is a model for the first time where I feel like I can ask kind of any hard scientific or technical question and get a pretty good answer. And I'll give a fun example, actually.
Yeah,
When I was in junior high, or maybe it was 9th grade, I got a TI-83, this old graphing calculator. And I spent so long making this game called Snake.
Yeah.
It was a very popular game with kids in my school. And I was like pro and it was dumb, but it was like programming on a TI-83 was extremely painful. It took a long time and it was really hard to like debug and whatever. And on a whim, with an early copy of GPT-5, I was like, I wonder if it can make a TI-83 style game of Snake. And of course, it did that perfectly in like 7 seconds. And then I was like, okay, would my like 11-year-old self think this was cool or like, miss something from the process? And I had like 3 seconds of wondering like, oh, is this good or bad? And then I immediately said, actually, now I'm missing this game. I have this idea for a crazy new feature. Let me type it in. It implements it, and the game live updates. And now I'm like, actually, I'd like it to look this way. Actually, I'd like to do this thing. And I had this very like kind of, this experience that reminded me of being like 11 in programming again, where I was just like, now I want to try this. Now I have this idea. But I could do it so fast, and I could like express ideas and try things and play with things in such real time. I was like, oh man, I was worried for a second about kids like missing the struggle of learning to program in this sort of Stone Age way. And now I'm just thrilled for them because the way that people will be able to create with these new tools, the speed with which you can sort of bring ideas to life, that's pretty amazing. So this idea that GPT-5 can just not only like answer all these hard questions for you, but really create like on-demand, almost instantaneous software. I think that's going to be one of the defining elements of the GPT-5 era in a way that did not exist with GPT-4.
As you're talking about that, I find myself thinking about a concept in weightlifting of time under tension.